Hey y'all, how's it going today? I just want to bring you some information about something I was talking about earlier with one of my clients or potential clients, and I realized the similarity between them and other individuals that I've spoken to in regards to back pain, knee pain, joint pain, that sort of thing. And I'm going to give you some information that's helpful for those areas, but there was something that kind of stood out to me in regards to the communication of what they were telling me. And it's something that I believe is significant when it comes to us being able to actually look for an answer. If we don't even believe that it's possible, we won't even look for an answer. And they were telling me about the joint pain, but when they told me, they were telling me as if it was just with this sense of hopelessness. And of course, nobody, enjoys joint pain or anything that's painful or anything that gets in the way of our life. But as I continued to speak with them, what I sensed was that they didn't even realize that there was a solution, and they didn't have hope that there was a solution. And what they were doing was actually counterproductive. And so this is why I wanted to bring this to you today, because it's a common topic, a common issue, especially for individuals that are over the age of 40. I even was sent a comical video about how people get up out of the bed at certain age, and they showed someone getting up out of bed at 20. It was the same guy, but he was demonstrating how you get up out of bed when you're 20, when you're 30, and then when you're 40 plus. And the thing is that it was funny, but at the same time, it kind of reinforces this idea that this is what you have to look forward to. And don't look forward to that. That's not something that I believe is an absolute. Matter of fact, I think there's so much of what we do that just really gave me a realization, or reinforced the reality of just how unhealthy individuals are. I mean, when we think about, individuals that live longer and they're still moving, and it's seen as something that's uncommon, like something that you will be amazed over, and it really doesn't make sense. Like, a person who's 60 should be able to move the same way they moved when they were 30. Like, there's no reason why it can't be. And so that's why I wanted to bring this information, let you know that it's not a hopeless situation. It's just that so much of what we do, we don't realize is actually causing the condition and what we're experiencing, because it's part of our group, our culture, our surroundings, our environment, and we've accepted it. But it doesn't have to be. And a lot of things that we take as being common, they are extremely unhealthy, and they're only harmful because we don't know how harmful they are. And so we continue to do that. So I wanted to bring you some information about that now. So these are some of the reasons, or some of the main reasons, why we experience the joint discomfort. The cartilage, it can wear down many times because of excess body weight and the lack of movement. Those are the two common ones. Individuals don't move, and if we don't move, we can't get blood flow to that area. And then the inflammatory foods that we eat, all of these other things, just like we're beating our joints down, we're doing things to cause them to deteriorate, and then we're just thinking that it's something that just happens with age. And of course, things reveal themselves over a period of time because of what's going on. Because if you're doing the right thing over a period of time, then what's going to be revealed is going to be a positive. It's not going to be a negative. And so the cartilage wearing down, synovial fluid thickening, that's that lubrication in the joints, inflammation. It gets irritated by inflammation. There's also issues with nutrients. We get decrease in nutrient absorption because we have digestive issues, low stomach acid. Then we have the joint pain. When we experience the joint pain during movement, it's usually arthritis. Pain at rest, meaning when we're not moving, that's typically inflammation. Now, some of you experience both. You experience that pain while you're moving, and you experience the pain when you're not moving. Also, if you have like morning stiffness, you wake up in the morning, that's inflammation as well. Okay, and the reason why it's important to kind of get an idea of what's behind it is because then the solutions are going to make a lot of sense for you. Okay, so remember I spoke about movement, a lack of movement as we increase with age, or we'll have more sedentary lifestyles. A lot of times because of work, and we're prioritizing this or that, or we just we kind of correlate the lack of movement with relaxation and rest. Okay, I need to rest. But actually that's working against our bodies. And this will make sense as we go forward. And so when we look at the common symptoms, okay, so the lack of movement is going to be the common symptoms. The creaking or the popping, the burning or the warmth, the swelling, the weather sensitivity, pain during the winter, that sort of thing. And this is due to reduced circulation. When our bodies are, during the winter time, our bodies will kind of, and it does this in many ways, but the blood will go to the organs that are most vital for the functioning of the body, for the body to stay alive. And so it'll come away from the extremities, like our fingers and things like that, and we might experience more discomfort in the joints and the parts of our body that are more distal from our organs, the central part of our body, like our heart and all of these other things, because the blood will rush to those areas because it considers those to be more important, and the heart is important. Okay, so this is some of the things that you will experience. These are common signs that you will experience when you're having these issues. And now the thing about it is that the joints can heal. It's just that if we have lack of circulation, if we have the depletion of muscle tissue because of inactivity, then all of that excess weight, then we have obesity, is falling on the joint, and the joint is getting all that stress. And it's about 4 pounds of body weight that you get on the joint for every excess pound of body fat. So if you have 1 pound of extra body fat on your joints, that's actually multiplied like 3 or 4 times. And so you might say, oh, only 10 pounds overweight. Well, that's like 30 pounds on your joints, okay? And so you also want to consider that your joints get so much more when the muscles aren't being used to carry our body. And that's why one of the reasons why I reinforce doing resistance training, and really doing resistance training for function and not for aesthetics, because of this, the common complaint of joint pain and issues like this. Now also we're going to talk about the nutrition in a little bit, and you're going to see how this ties in to being able to help this area recovering too. So we need to do these things to protect the joint while we're working on building strength and reducing body fat and changing our nutrition so that we're not causing more inflammation with the things that we eat and the things that we do. So how do you restore your joint health naturally? Well, we already mentioned one. We need to move. We have to put stress on the muscle so that the muscle can then alleviate the pressure off of the joint. So you want to stretch so that you can contract and expand the muscle through a full range of motion, building, and then that's going to build strength. Okay. Also release tension off the joint, doing the proper flexibility exercises, gentle movement. Okay, you can even go for 15-minute increments, say on the treadmill, or doing some sort of continuous movement just to get that blood flow in that area, and then move into doing your core mobility and your stretching exercises. Okay, so you don't have to walk for an hour or do all of that. Now you can do the walking if it's not causing too much pain, but you can get some shoes that give you a lot of support, so that'll help with that discomfort you feel in your joints. Nice cushion and support, but also allow you to balance properly through your feet. And that's going to help. The daily movement's going to get the lubrication, it's going to get some more blood flow to that area, and it's going to help with the resistance to bring the pressure off of the joint. So that's going to be the first thing. Okay. Now, next, like I said, with excess body weight equates to more pressure on the joints. So a pound, extra pound of body weight, it's not just 1 pound of body weight to our joints, okay? The other thing is hydration. So get some good quality water, a good reverse osmosis or excellent filtered water, and make sure that you're getting in enough hydration. When you're dehydrated, it's going to cause more aches and pain in your joints. And you might have heard about, oh, hydration is important, but I'm telling you, it makes a significant difference when you are hydrated to your joints. If you want those joints to feel better, okay, get better hydration. Now, hydration also includes electrolytes. Electrolytes are those minerals that we're going to need, the potassium, the sodium that we're going to need, not just to support the muscle, but also, like I said, to support the joints, okay? But supporting the muscle is going to support the joints. So we need those electrolytes. I'm not talking about Gatorade. I'm not talking about these things with sugars. There are just plain electrolyte drops. You can also use mineralized Celtic. You can use mineral salt, which is the natural Celtic salt, the sea salt. or the Celtic salt, but get the electrolytes because you'll be able to get more of what you need in there. But don't get the ones with sugar, because sugar causes more inflammation on the joints, just like with coffee as well. It causes inflammation in the joints, okay? You can also, another thing that causes inflammation is when you're eating deep fried foods and when you're using those seed oils, they cause inflammation in the joints. You want to use olive oil instead of using canola oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, all of those, okay? Those are going to be better. Also, coconut oil is going to be better for your joints, but olive oil is really good for those joints, okay? So you want to stay away from those things, and you want to add in some other things that are anti-inflammatory. These are some supplements that you might have heard about, but they work excellent. So the first is turmeric or curcumin. You've heard about that one. Ginger is excellent. Boswellia. Ginger is also good for digestion, to have that after your meal to help digest your meals. Boswellia, that's another ingredient. Sometimes you can get a supplement that has all of these together. Omega-3, you get that one separate. Get a good quality omega-3. Magnesium glycinate is a good one. Also, you can take that one before bed. That helps a lot with discomfort and helps you to fall asleep. Also, it helps with the muscles and the bone. This is going to be important. Your magnesium. Then collagen, okay? Collagen is important for the bones. A lot of other things as well, like our skin and our hair, but it's also important for our joints. Another one is glucosamine and chondroitin. This is also one of those that you find together, and sometimes you can get it with the turmeric and the ginger. If not, get all of these separate, but go for good quality ones, okay? Make sure it's good quality, something your body can absorb, and don't get those supplements that are mixed with sugar. You just defeat the purpose, okay? It'll have those chews that have sugar in it, or some kind of drink that has it in there, but it's sugar or these artificial sweeteners, and it'll say 0 calories or whatever. So remember to read those labels like we talked about before. Plain gelatin is actually a good support for a good way to support your joints. It's very simple. You can, make it any kind of way that doesn't include sugar or anything like that, but just gelatin really helps. Also, if you're taking in foods like grass-fed beef that has a gristle, the good gristle that's good for your bones. You can also take a supplement that has bone and marrow as well. Omega-3s, walnuts, and then also any sort of collagen-rich foods. Also blueberries, spinach, broccoli, and peppers. Get them all organic, by the way, and those are actually anti-inflammatory as well. All right, you all. So the main thing that I wanted to make sure that you understand is that it's not a hopeless situation. It's not something that you have to deal with, and your joints can regenerate, and you don't have to run and get surgery. I've seen many people, even over this past year, 3 different people that I've worked with that went and got surgery before they worked with me, and it did not turn out the way that they anticipated. There were still imbalances, there was still pain, all of these things, and their body was weakened because one of the individuals, a couple of them were over the age of 60 or around 60, and their body didn't recover, and they're still trying to recover from something that was a year ago, over a year ago. And so those surgeries are not the answer. They're not just going to do away with all of the problems that you're having, especially if you do not address the inflammation. You're still going to have issues. You're still eating garbage food and sugar and drinking coffee and burgers and all of these things. We have to be honest about the quality of food that we have today. It's not the same that your great grandmother had. It's a completely different grain that you're eating. It's completely different, and so we have a lack of nutrients that we're at a deficit of. Matter of fact, one of the things that you need to take is vitamin D. You need to increase your vitamin D. The recommendations for vitamin D are lower than what we need for our optimal health nowadays. These standards were set years ago. They're typically standards that are recommended to avoid disease. Now, I want to avoid disease, but I also want to live optimally. And so at certain times when we need it more, like during the winter or when we experience things like COVID, these are things that we need to make sure that we're adjusting. And we can't adjust it if we don't know that they have an impact. Okay, we're spending more time indoors during the winter, and in the typical American lifestyle, we're spending more time indoors. And so we're not getting the vitamin D, especially if you have brown complected skin or darker complected brown skin, then you need even more vitamin D. And so this is also one of the supplements, or one of the nutrients that have a significant and positive impact on our joints. Okay, so you're having any kind of joint pain, inflammation, or if you have any sort of diagnosis, or if you're obese, you need more vitamin D. Okay, all right, you all. So there's hope. The joints can regenerate. Don't jump into surgery. Make those adjustments in your nutrition. Instead of getting refined sugar and sweets, if you let your body wean off of it, it will. You can put replacements like raw honey and dates and things that figs. These things are sweet, but they don't cause that inflammation. Matter of fact, they're counterproductive. They work against the inflammation, of chronic inflammation. All right, you all. So get those joints feeling better. Hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you all soon.